All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's been about a month or two since we've done a video, and
Yeah.
man, things have been busy. Life has been busy, but just like Josh always likes to say, because it is true, we will always be back. As long as we're in this flesh, we will be back to make another video. So,
Indeed.
uh, yeah, here we are, and I'm excited to be back. Man, it's been good. Life has been good recently. What about you? How have you been, man?
Yeah, everything's running. Everything's good. Got through the summer. Fall's here. I'm a big dude on the weather. So, once it gets into the summertime, I'm ready for the heat. And by the end of the summertime, I'm ready for it to all go away and that cooler weather and everything. I just, it's hard to get on the bad side of me once this season hits, So
Oh yeah,
it's all good, man. All good. All good.
weather's nice right now for sure. Especially in the morning. It's a little bit cooler. Feels nice. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You a
yeah.
caffeine man? You need your
I
caffeine in
am.
you? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have at
Oh,
least 2 cups of coffee a day.
okay. Yeah, I've kind of gotten that way. I'm getting to that age where you know, definitely need something. Well, me, if I can get something down in the evening, but not too close to bed. If I do
Yeah.
that, it's gonna wreck me, and then there you go. So then before, I could down a cup of coffee and then go right to sleep, But now can't do
Oh
it
yeah, I
anymore.
remember. I remember those days for sure.
Yeah, it didn't even matter. Um, but yeah.
Yeah. It's talking about getting older, man. I actually take naps a lot more often than I used to. um,
Yeah.
because I'll have coffee in the morning, and that'll get me through my day. But then a lot of times, like it's not every day, but you know, I would say often. I'll actually get off work and just like take a little nap like right after work, and then hit the evening after that.
Dude, that if I can get one in, man, and it's usually after I eat lunch. After I eat lunch, give me about 30 minutes and man, I'll turn into a zombie, man. And if it's man, you know, I gotta pretty much go on the wrong way of traffic to wake me up. I mean,
Right.
I gotta get thrilled. But man,
Exactly.
I gotta get throttled, man. But uh, yeah, I'm down in the biggest Red Bull and driving 70 miles an hour down the wrong way on the highway. There's Josh just trying to stay awake on a Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But
Hey,
uh,
speaking of Red Bull, have you ever heard of the Red Bull Flugtag?
no,
So we went to that. Actually, no, I think I sent you
Oh,
something about it, but
yeah, yeah. Is that man, dude? So we had games, and my bad not getting back to you, but dude, I've always wanted to go to that.
yeah, yeah, where they make
With
like a
Flava.
flying vehicle, out of just scrap stuff. It could be cardboard, it could be plastic, right? But they basically have like this 27-foot platform, and they've got this team of people. Everybody's got like their own little team of maybe it could be anywhere from I don't know 3 to maybe like 6 people, um, and they've all built their own vehicle, right? Like you have to be able to roll it at first, but then once you get to the edge of that platform, it just drops straight off into water. And they'll typically do it at like a lake or something like that. I don't know if they've ever actually done it like in the ocean, but yeah, you're rolling on that platform, and once you hit that edge, you try to see how far you can fly the vehicle over the water. And we didn't stay for the whole thing. I mean, it's pretty funny, right? Because most
Yeah,
of them just dive
yeah,
and
yeah,
crash, and
yeah. Never had a chance, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and people come up with some funny concepts, for their for their thing. But I think the longest one we saw was like, I want to say maybe it went about 30 feet or something
No,
like that
no.
off the edge. And um, but the record, uh, I think it's actually in meters. I'd have to, convert that to feet, but I think it was like 400 something meters
Oh man.
is how far. But on that one, it actually, no one was in it. It was just like something they kind of almost like a paper airplane, but, bigger.
Yeah.
And so it just like flew on its own. But the farthest they've gone with somebody actually in it is, I think, like 205 meters.
Mm,
And that one was kind of like a hang glider type of thing that the guy was in. But anyway, I mean, it was fun. It was just really interesting and funny. So
yeah. That's cool, man. Cool. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I don't really drink Red Bull too much. My wife does. But I mean, I like them. I just I don't drink them that often. But I like Red Bull. I like the company, right? Because they do a lot of action sports stuff.
Yeah.
Um, you know, they sponsor like skateboarding, motocross, and even way out there like base jumping and just all sorts of stuff. So they're a cool company for sure. They have some awesome videos on YouTube about all that stuff. But anyway, I digress. Um,
Yeah.
I love that stuff, man. I don't know if did you ever like skate or anything when you were younger, or was that not really your thing?
Yeah, not really my thing. Yeah. Closest I got to skating was right when rollerblades came out. I
Oh,
got
there
this
you go.
rollerblade, but no, I never skateboarding or anything like that. No.
Yeah,
No, I know you were into it.
I was. Yeah, I was into that, and I was into motocross. Motocross was bigger for me than even skateboarding, but that got shut down by my father when I got a little bit too into it. He was like, "All right, you still got to go to college and all that. You can't like." Because I like
Yeah.
wanted to go as far as I could with it. I was like, dude, if I can go pro, and it wasn't like I was amazing at what I did. Like I could ride for sure. And I did enter a couple races. I did all right. It wasn't like I was anything special, but I really wanted to work at it and get better and better. And like I wanted to see if what was possible. Of course, I
Yeah.
was in high school at the time, so you always kind of have big dreams, and
Yeah.
maybe not as like um, realistic with that stuff. So my dad kind of brought me back down to earth, and he was like, "No, you're not. We're not going to pursue that." so
That wasn't in your arsenal trick or sleeve when you're talking to a girl, like semi pro, semi
yeah,
pro. Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah.
I think I did use that for a while,
Yeah.
um, because actually, I funny enough, there's this motocross magazine called Trans World. Um, was it that one or was it Racer X? One of the two. I used to subscribe to them when I was in high school.
Yeah. I think trans world is probably something different.
Yeah, that could be. Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. I didn't even put two and two together. Um, that is something different. No, but yeah, that's my other magazine. We won't go there. No.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was this thing with one of the big motocross magazines that I subscribed to where you could have somebody, it could be anyone, like your parents or friend or whatever, take some photos of you riding. And then if they were like cool enough, you know, the magazine, like you send them into the magazine, right? And if they were cool enough, the magazine would actually put it in one of the issues, right? So I actually was able to get a little bio in one of the magazines, and like I had
Oh,
a couple pictures in there, and it wasn't that I was anything special. It was just, that they were like, "Hey, if you send us a cool picture, we'll put you in." And then you had to give like a little short bio of yourself and like where you're, hailing from and stuff like that. And so anyway, I had something in there like that, and it was also on their website. So I actually did in high school. I did use that one time because I was in a computer class with, you know, classmates, of course, but there was a girl in there that was popular and was attractive, and she was actually sitting next to me. And, we were talking a little bit. Not that I ever had a chance anyway, but we were talking a little bit, and I was like, well, I actually, I race dirt bikes, yeah. So
Yeah,
she's like,
yeah.
oh, that's so cool. And I was like, yeah, yeah, no, it's cool. Actually, if you want to see, I'm on the internet. Could show you. you know?
Hey, hey, back then, you say you're on the internet,
Yeah.
like, it ain't as easy as like it is now,
Yeah, because that was like 20 years ago. That was like
Yeah, yeah,
2005. Yeah.
yeah.
So
No,
it
no,
was
I'm
kind of a big deal.
kind of a big deal, Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, that's
You got the
fun stuff.
magazine still or no?
No, no, no.
No.
Those are long gone,
No.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that is. And then I sold I sold my bikes, and then I sold my gear when I was in desperate need of money
Oh
at,
yeah.
at one point in life. So those are long gone. But hey,
Gotcha.
what do you do?
Hey, you know. Uh it's the past, the past life. Just
Exactly.
their memories, but you know, we've moved past and we're in the present. So,
That's actually a good segue into what I wanted to talk about
all right.
also, because you bring up a good point of that was the past, this is the present.
Mm.
Um, things change, and things are not permanent. And it reminds me of this thing. I know we talk about, different spiritual topics on this channel, and this, yeah, it's a perfect segue into this. And this is something I've been thinking about recently, more more so than in the past. The three characteristics of existence as outlined by the Buddha. Um, he in his teachings, right? And if you read the suttas, is how you'd say it in Pali, or sutras if we want to use the Sanskrit. These are the writings of what the Buddha actually said. If you read those, there are a lot of the themes that are harped on throughout the literature come back to these three characteristics of existence that I'm about to talk about. And so you'll see that kind of throughout a lot of his teachings. And I don't know that he sat there and actually said, like, these are the three characteristics. It was more of like a flow type of thing of like, once you see the whole, um what would you call it? Once you see all of the teachings comprehensively, um you see, like I was saying, that theme throughout. And I think that's how this came to be, right? It was
Mhm.
more of a natural fluid type of thing. But anyway, so the three characteristics of existence are impermanence, which is, we just talked about that. Things change, they don't last forever. Suffering, that again may not be and I say again because you and I kind of talked about this a little bit before we started recording here, but suffering may not be the best translation. The Pali word is dukkha. but another translation that some people have given is dissatisfaction. And it just simply means that there is dissatisfaction in life, right? All the way down from a paper cut to being tortured to death. Like the whole there's dissatisfaction, there's suffering. And then the third is not self. And it's this for me to sit here and say that I can just define this in one or two sentences would be pretty bold because I think it takes a lot of time to really understand what this is. But if I were to try to do so, it's basically not identifying with anything in this world and back to the impermanence thing, not seeing yourself as a fixed, permanent entity. And I mean, if we look at ourselves, that's obvious from the fact that, even our body has changed over time. Um, there's not one thing that we can point to and say that right there is permanently us. So anyway, to recap, impermanence, suffering, and not self. Um, so before I kind of want to like go into each one and see where it takes us. But before we do that, just hearing those three, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's very interesting. In all three, it's not like they're always banging in my head throughout the day, but it in how I move about my day, um, these things, come to light as I'm moving through my day. Um, it could start early in the morning where I'm tired and I'm feeling a certain way. Maybe I'm not ready for the day. But quickly, I think of, uh, you know, mindset, and that's, more, I am feeling that I am tired, but, you know, uh, I think to myself, if there was something more exciting in my day to look forward to, I would be more prone to getting up and, hey, let's let's get after today because I can't wait to do this thing that's coming up. So it's again, it's, you know I can control to a certain extent. I think even how tired I am or how I'm about to look at the day. So sometimes I gotta, it'll hit me a little hard, or hit me in a certain way, and then I say, wait, no, let's start over, and do it that way. And then, maybe I'm uh jumping in the truck, got to go to a job site, and then I forget something that I needed, and I'm, then, forget it. Let's just go, and let's just let the day ride, and stuff like that. And yeah, the ups and downs in the day, right? And as they're coming at me, um, again, I don't go off of these exact three teachings, but I think throughout our spiritual journey and talking and reading and practicing certain things, uh, these are, I think three, we could say like three very like foundation points. And um, yeah, I would say these are very instilled in me. Like I said, I don't think about those three things all the time. I think it's starting to become just a flow that's inside of me. Just I quickly realize something, and then take control, type of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
That's good. Yeah, I mean that really is what it comes to whenever our practice um, develops, right, is that it's more natural and you don't think about these things, you know, as much as you do in the beginning when maybe you never thought about it before. So it's a new concept and you're still trying to like wrap your head around that and see how that fits into your life. But yeah, I guess so. The first one on impermanence, one of the things that I feel that's helped me with is just kind of like what you just mentioned, right? When things don't go your way or when something happens and it's a big change or something like that, if you already know that things are impermanent, right, then that doesn't come as a shock to you, right?
Mm.
um for example, even like getting sick could be one example, right? Where if you know that if you have sat there and really meditated on the impermanence of your body and you know that and you have faced that and you have um, gotten over whatever fear is around that, then something like illness coming to you, it's not a shock. It's not, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened to me. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's what happens to bodies. They grow old, they grow sick, they decay, they die.
Yeah.
um and it seems so obvious, right? um Probably because it should be, but I feel like we, especially in our society today, we try to tuck that away in the closet and not think about those things. And we're afraid to go there. And so then when life happens and something changes, or you know again, as an example, maybe somebody gets sick and now they have this problem they have to deal with. If we haven't prepared ourselves for that, then things like that are going to, back to the suffering thing, right? They're going to cause a lot more suffering than if we had prepared ourselves for that. And I mean, preparing really is just being aware of the fact that things are impermanent.
Mhm. Yeah. I I wouldn't say it's daily for me, but definitely I got, work can, like I said, for me, I mean it can just really roller coaster. And then, maybe certain things personally, every once in a while something hits. Uh but I've always, not always, I've the past years I've been able to catch myself in those types of funks. And I used to be a guy that would worry, about certain things. Let me give you an example. Let's say, uh, I don't know how this situation is going to turn out, and I'm sitting there and I'm fretting and I'm like thinking about it for days until that day's about to come. And you know and I sometimes I drive myself mad until that day hits, because I'm you know just, I don't know how it's going to go down, and I'm going constantly going through different scenarios in my head, right? And somebody had told me uh long time ago, when I used to do this a lot, and they said, why are you why are you fretting about this? There's nothing you can do about it. Like, you sitting here worrying about it ain't going to change the outcome when it comes. So just live your life. Just put it out because it's just pointless to think about it. And when it comes, deal with it. And I that before didn't make sense because I was like, well, but I got to prepare for it and this and that. And there is, you can be constructive with something that's about to come. I'm not saying, hey, if there's something that you do need to be prepared for, you can prepare for it, but you don't have to worry about it. So, like, put forth the time that how you're going to combat this situation, but do it constructively, right? So, like, hey, okay, look, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna think about this and my what I'm gonna how I'm gonna take care of the situation, and this designate time that I'm gonna do it. And then after that, you're gonna put it away, and then when the time comes, you deal with it. Um, but I think often, and myself included, I used to be, like I said, the guy that would be, you know, just all over the map until it came. So uh, I've myself, like I said, I mean, just recently there's something that's not a major going on, but at work, but there's something that's unfolded, and I hope it doesn't get out of hand. But if it does, and last thing on this, and I've said it in other videos, it's the thing of, you know what, if it turns out bad, in my way of thinking, I feel like, if the good things happen to me, also, bad things and, with these certain situations can happen, and it's all part of it. And there's a reason why it's happening. So again, there's a lesson in everything, and it was purposely supposed to happen. So stop, feeling bad for yourself. Stop, fretting about it, and or whatever did happen, and now I got to deal with this. It happened for a reason, and so own it, but learn why it happened. Learn the lesson in it, and it's like a level. Once you figure it out and like, oh, I get it. That's why that happened. It could be something that's plain and simple, or it could be something a little bit deeper that you didn't know about yourself, and another enlightening phase, another enlightening level that you just, oh, I get it. I understand, you know, and you rise just a little bit more. So that's, again, just kind of thinking about
Yeah,
that a little bit more. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I love that. I love that because really, it's so easy for us to, and this kind of leads me into the second one, which is suffering, right? Which we've kind of already started to talk about, but um, there's so much suffering we can cause ourselves within our own mind, um, that if we could just step outside of that a little bit and be aware of what's happening, and um, not be so caught up in it, we can really diminish that suffering a lot. And another thing too that the Buddha talks about is how craving leads to suffering and desire can lead to suffering because we want something to be a certain way, and when it doesn't go the way we want it to go, that's when we suffer. But if we have no expectations and, kind of like you said, right, it could go bad, it could go good, I'm going to go with the flow either way, right? Then the suffering, you know, lessens, it again diminishes because we don't we don't expect it to be a certain way. We just let the process unfold on its own, and we're there for it for whatever happens. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. And I think that we could do a lot more in our society to maybe cultivate that. Um, I feel like, you know, that's definitely not something you're going to see as like a popular opinion, right?
Mhm.
I think that for the most part, people either want something to go one way or the other, and it's all about likes or dislikes. I mean, look, I'm not a political guy at all, but I'm sure you have heard about things that have happened recently, um, you know, in the United States. And, um, when I see things online and even just people, out and about talking about different issues, it's always, what do I want? What do I like? What do I wish would change? And there's so much suffering around that, right? Because people never get what they want. And then if you notice, when you do get what you want, it's never enough. You always want more.
Oh, yeah.
um, it's like when you start making more money, right? It's easy to get caught up into just wanting more and more. You're like, well, if I would just make this much a year, I'd be set, right? But then you get to that point and it's like, well, but what if I could make this much? So
Yeah.
you're never really satisfied, right? And this goes back to the dissatisfaction thing. So, how do you get rid of that? Well, again, it's getting rid of that craving, that desiring, that wanting things to be different. Because really, we don't have as much power over that. To your point that you were talking about, we don't have as much power over that as sometimes we think we do, right? And a
Mhm.
lot of times we can just get um, caught within our own minds and you know really make ourselves be the cause of our own suffering more than anything else, and it's just all happening internally, right? um so yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, all that stuff that has been going on. Uh, I really do myself. I try to stay on the outside. I don't. I to be honest, I'm a headline reader. I'll read
Yeah,
headlines stuff like that in the morning as I'm drinking my coffee. Uh, but
it's like the dad
I
with a
try,
newspaper.
yeah, just like that. Yeah, yeah. Um, watching the sun come up. But I uh, I try not to dive into it, and even if something because all these headlines and stuff, it's just there to like make you want to get into it and read more about it, right? And it's just a trap. That's all it is. It's just a mind trap. And when you get into it, it's either gonna make you feel better or it's gonna make you be even more mad, right? Because it's gonna be something that you want to hear or you don't want to hear. And I just don't want anyone to fall into the trap. So uh
You're right.
yeah, you know, and so yeah, and again, with everything that's going on, even politics are it's funny to me. To me it's like it's just a huge soap opera, you know. It's I don't care where you're at on it. uh it's the blind leading the blind. I mean, just the super unconscious, just leading the other unconscious right over the hill. And it's just it's just chaos. I mean, that is the mind at its best right there. And when I say
Yeah.
best, like, it is like the mind, it is totally just screwing everything, and you have no idea, how sick, these people that you're listening to are, and you're just following in their footsteps. It's so and that goes for anything and in any country, right? I mean,
Yeah.
politics, that's just it's what it is. It's just a huge mind f. It's
Yep.
I mean, that's all it is. It's going to get you emotionally charged one way or the other, right? And that's the ego at its best. That it loves the politics. Oh man, it loves the politics. It loves the religion, right? Um, I mean,
Yep.
those are the things it feeds on, and that's it. That's the pulse. That's its heartbeat. That's why it's been here for so long, because it dwells on those two things right there. Um, but
Well,
yeah.
now the you this is amazing how this is flowing because that actually leads into the third aspect, which is not self.
Mm,
And the connection I'm making there is that so many people identify with these things in the world like religion and political party and it could be race, it could be culture, it could be sex, it could be caste, creed, whatever
sports.
you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, sports, there you go. Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Now I do have my
No.
qualms about which sports teams are better.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but for real, right? Yeah, it's
No. No.
true.
Totally. Totally. Totally.
Um and this identity for so many people becomes real for them,
Mhm.
and it's like, I am a Republican, I am a Democrat, right, as an
Mhm.
example. And this is what I feed on because this is my identity, right? And it's like the headlines you were talking about. You're like, maybe let's say, again, I'm just throwing a random example out there, right? This isn't towards anybody or anything, but let's say hypothetically speaking, I'm a Republican and I'm reading a Republican headline, right? And it's like, yeah, I like that because that validates what I identify with, right? And it's this sense of um, almost like a feeling of you're right, because somebody else said it, and so again, it validates that for you, and it strengthens that identity, right? Um, and back to the ego thing, the ego kind of gets dug in even more, and it finds this home that it can just lock in and say, oh man, I love that,
Yeah. Dude. It's the
and then
chocolate sundae, man. Yeah. It's just like, mm, damn. Yeah. You just know how I like it. Come on, man. Man, you got
you
the
were so
cherries on
funny
it
with that.
too. Man, sprinkles. Woo, give it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And then when you read something, to your point of what you were saying, when you read something you don't like, you get pissed, You're like, "Well, I can't believe they would say that." You know? It's-
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Then
then
you're
and then
like,
it's
yeah, you're the opposite. You're like, that mother stole my Sunday. You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, you stole it from me. That was mine.
Yeah.
Right, again, me and mine and all of that, right? And but man, you see how it ties in though, right, with the
Oh
suffering
yeah.
aspect too, because it's like, oh man, they said this, they did this, and then you're going through that throughout your day, right? And now you can't even be your best self for, your work, your family, whatever it may be, because you're going through that, right? And that can come out in negative ways. I mean, you could act out on that in some other way, and maybe it turns into you yelling at somebody or whatever, and you don't even know where that came from, right? But the root of it all is that you've got this thing that you identify with, and when something or someone threatens that identity, that shakes you up, that causes you to suffer, and so you want that to go away, and so you try to fight it. It's a fight or flight, right? You either try to fight it or run away from it. And gosh, I mean, there's just so much turmoil that can come from that. So the whole not self or no self teachings of the Buddha is that there is nothing to identify with, right?
Mhm.
um I mean, and that's literally nothing, right? And so with that, that could be, it takes time to really meditate on that and sit with that and discover that for yourself, because we've identified with things for our whole life, like family, um, culture, right? Could be a religion, could be politics, whatever. And so to to peel that onion back and get to the core, right? It does take work. This isn't something that can just happen overnight. Maybe for someone really special it could, but I know for me personally, I've spent 2 years meditating on not self and what that really means. And like, I feel like I'm just now like scratching the surface after 2 years. I
Mhm.
haven't even gotten to probably the deeper parts of it, So, and it's just because we have built this web of identities throughout our entire lives. Um, but it's really freeing when you can let go of that. And
Mhm.
that's the big thing that I've taken away from these teachings is letting go. There's a lot of freedom in letting go. There's a lot of healing from fear when you let go. And interestingly enough, letting go um, actually causes you to care more about what goes on in life. Um, you wouldn't think that, right? But you would think letting go would mean you're completely detached and you're not caring about anything and or anyone. But I have found that when you do let go, you actually do develop more compassion and more love. Um, because again, you're not identifying with one certain way or one certain thing. You've let go of all of those things. So, you're more accepting, right? So
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents on that.
yeah, yeah. No, no. Yeah, all that in. I feel everything that you just said right there. Um, but uh, getting to all the chaos and all that stuff, you know, like you said, we self identify with you know the emotions that we're feeling and everything that's going on from day to day, and then like you said, trying to you know uh, that's why entities go after people that are just emotionally wrecked, people that are broken, because those are the easiest to manipulate, and they need some self identity. That's what it is, and again, it's just a mind, another mind that's playing on a more every mind's broken, but this is a less broken mind preying on a really broken mind, you know,
Yeah.
and um, and it just feeds on itself, and then all that causes anxiety, causes depression, you know, and gets us as like a southern male, feeling the way you do after it's been piled on you for years and years and years. Now you're wondering why I'm drinking so much, or if you ever do at one point in time stop and like think like, man, when did I really start like throwing them back, and why do I throw them back so much? You know what I mean? And or like, why am I smoking? Or why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? There's a reason for it, and so uh, getting in control of these three foundation things. Again, I know we've said other things. Hey, start right here, but yeah, I mean, looking into this stuff too. It's these are everyday foundation things that just affect you daily, and if you're able to get a grip on some of these things, uh, it can make your life a hell of a lot easier, and be able to deal with situations a lot better. And then knowing, it turns a problem into a situation, right? It's just like there's no more, you're not throwing emotions at it anymore. You're clear minded and you're thinking about a solution. Just like a math problem, I could sit there and try to figure out the problem, or I can get mad because I can't figure out the problem and then try to figure it out because it ain't gonna go well. So it's you know these things are important, um, and again, it's to know once you if you do take the time to look into this, to knowing that it don't matter, and you will get to a like an ebb and flow, and you realize it's all ego driven, and who cares, and I will tell you this, you go up in there into the next honky tonk, or you go into the next club or whatever the case may be, man, you go in there, chest bowed, ego driven, hardest dude in there, man, you just like everybody else in that freaking place. Man, you want to come across to some, and I here I'm talking to the males here, of course. You want to come across to a female like you on your stuff, come to a female where like nothing's phasing you, like you're on another level. She gonna look at you like like whoa, you know what I mean? Like you're different, and you will be, you are, you know, but you're different in a better kind of way. You're not different because you know necessarily I'm trying to be different. It's just I'm on another plane. Like this is, hey, come with me and I can show you the way type of thing. And they see it inside you, and that's a beacon. You could be a beacon when you walk in a place like that. Now I'm not saying like go in there, do all this stuff, get enlightened so you can just pick up chicks, but
Right.
you know what I mean? To like spit some fly s to them, you know what I mean? But like wow, I never heard somebody talk like that before. Like, yeah, well, here's my number, and you can hear a lot more of it. You know what I'm saying? But but yeah, I mean that's real. That's real. I mean, you over there, and like, man, that dude over there, there's something coming off of him, and you become interesting. You don't have to sit there and tap dance and make people laugh and be the center of attention. You're like the opposite of it. You're on the other, like everybody's over here trying to entertain, and you're just over here because you're content. And what's not more sexier than somebody coming in and just totally content, you know? Whether you got 10 friends by you or nobody by you, you all the same. I mean, you just rock solid, you know. That's that's something right there.
Oh yeah, dude, it is, and it reminds me of, um, man, I don't even know if it's appropriate to talk about about this, but
Mm.
it just reminds me of, now that you're talking about that, it reminds me of being a younger man, and I don't hear as much of this from older men, like from men my age and above, our age and above. Probably because by now we have matured more, and maybe we have families and stuff like that. But I remember, like, being late teens, early 20s, and there would always be some guy. You'd have, like, a group of guys or whatever, and there'd always be some guy that would just want to talk about how many chicks he's been with, and like, oh, I did this one time, and like, remember one time, me and this one girl did this, and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
see, if you have to like talk about it like that, and like try to tell everybody. One, it makes me not really believe you,
Yeah.
and then two, it means that you're not really like this amazing guy, because you're like having to say all these things to try and prove yourself. The the guy that's really interesting, right, and that girls really want to go after is a guy that is so confident in himself that he doesn't have to say anything. It's he knows where he stands, and so there's no need to prove it to anybody. It's already been proven to himself. And if somebody wants to see what that guy is all about, they're welcome to be a part of his life. And that, they will observe how this guy operates, but he doesn't have to go around telling people, oh, I'm this way. I've been with this many girls. I did this. I did that. It's like, no, I know what I am. I don't have to, I'm not looking for recognition. I'm my own recognition, you know?
Mhm.
And that's really powerful. Um, like I said, I don't, to be fair, I don't see that as often nowadays with guys that are older, but definitely I saw a lot of that, with younger males for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's same. You hear it in songs. Uh, when I was, growing up, and I, still, obviously listen to music, but I would listen to a lot of, uh, you know, girl musicians, and I would, listen and vibing and stuff like that. But I would listen to what they're saying, and a lot of it would be, a lot of songs would be, why can't he, be like that all the time, and why he when he's with his friends or his buddies or whatever the case may be, he's a different person, and when he's with me, it's all good. But when we're around other folks, you're a whole different kind of dude. And I don't like that guy, you you, you know, you turn into this other person, you know. But when it's just me and you, it's all cool, And and I know myself, being that way, I'd be a certain way with the person I was with, and then mix in my buddies and friends. I mean, it's just going buck wild, and
Yep.
and and I'm sure just like a lot of other folks out there. But there right there is a lesson, it's as you get older, you start to just like, man, you've did all that, and I guess that's what they call, now I'm ready to settle down, you know and but I guess in that is a lesson in life, but it does somewhat get into what we're talking about, of you kind of let off, I guess, just you're still, so I mean, you're in the mind, but uh subconsciously, you're kind of letting go of self a little bit. You just like, oh man, it's just stupid stuff now, and but that's pretty much what it is on everything. Once you get deeper into this, is like the same thing you think about, like, oh man, I used to go to the club all the time and do all that, and man, hell, I ain't doing that anymore. That's dumb, you know. That's the way
Yeah.
you would think about the world, and you would just like, man, that's just dumb. I don't want anything to do with that anymore, But that and that's it would be the same type of feeling, uh and you would just go about your way in life a whole different type of way, a way better different way, and a lot more constructive and healthy and all that good stuff. And it's just like eating clean, when you start to eat clean, and then oh, you know what? Ah, man, I'm really hungry, and let me just go to McDonald's and grab me a burger, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, damn, it never affected me that way. Uh,
Yep.
it's the same thing. You start getting it, you start getting clean, in the being, and you start to dabble into other things, you're like, oh man, that just feels wrong. And you'll be able to uh, observe it and know like, oh, stay away from that, because it just don't make you feel good, you know.
Yeah.
And so,
And
just
that's
a word
another
of,
big part of this.
yeah.
That's actually a good point you bring up. It's another big part of this is also taking care of your body, right?
Mhm.
And it's eating properly, exercising, all these things, right? And look, again, these things sound so elementary, right? But the thing is, so many of us don't do it, right? And I can't say this for myself now because I have, you know, grown, but for most of my life up until now, I wasn't doing that either, right? I was um, definitely eating whatever I wanted, not, exercising properly. But then on top of that, identifying with all these different things, well, this is my, religion, or this is like the policies that I stand behind, right? And I'm gonna put that bumper sticker on the back of my car, and and
Yeah.
this is the flag that I wave, and then on top of that, just undue suffering and unnecessary suffering because of my mind and how just all over the place it was, and you brought up a great point about anxiety and depression and things like that, right? That's another aspect of it that can come from these things, can stem from those things. And it's kind of like when that suffering builds up to a certain point, then it it almost like caves in on itself, and you develop something like anxiety or depression, and then it's to a point where you almost can't even function because you've gone so far. um and then there's two aspects. There's the impermanence thing that we were talking about as well, where there's this desire for things to always be a certain way, and even there's this desire for the self to be permanent, and that identity to be there always, and things like that. But on the flip side, this is another thing that I didn't really mention yet, but the Buddha talks about walking the middle path, right? Because one can desire that things be permanent, and we have to realize that they aren't, right? And we have to come to terms with that. But there's also this other extreme where somebody can get into a place to where they're really depressed, or they're really anxious, or they have some mental illness. Maybe they're suicidal, and they don't see any other way forward, and they want to end their life, right? And so they feel that this annihilation is um is the cure or the way out, right? And that's the other extreme that the Buddha, advises not to go down that path either, right? So it's not eternalism, and it's not annihilationism. It's this middle path that the best analogy that I feel like I've heard um, before is it's like a guitar string, where if you know if it's too tight, the note of the string can be too sharp. If it's too loose, the note will become too flat. Um, so you have to find that perfect tuning in order for it to uh, sound wonderful. So that is this middle way, that is this balanced way of living, where you know um, you're not on one extreme or the other, right? And so some of the things you can do again to live that way do come down. Funny enough, and this circles back to where my whole tangent started. Funny enough, I have found that a lot more of these bad states of mind come from me. There, a lot more of them are biological than I realized. So a lot more of them had come from me not eating right or not exercising properly and just not taking care of myself, right? And it's like once you do that, then you at least develop a foundation where you are able to start exploring more healthy states of mind, um, and become and living more in the being that we always talk about. But if you haven't taken care of the foundational biological part, it is hard to do that.
Mhm.
Um, so I find it funny because I do not struggle with anxiety like I used to, and I'm so grateful for that. But there sometimes will be maybe a little hint of something, like I'll feel almost like that butterfly feeling in your stomach where you're like a little bit concerned and, you're kind of nervous or whatever. Like I'll get that for a second and I'll be like, where is that coming from? And then I'll be like, oh, I haven't eaten anything in a really long time. Maybe I should, go feed myself. And then like once my body, digests the food a little bit, I'm like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So it could even be something, that simple, you know? So,
Yeah. Um, Man, I'm a avid believer on that. And I was a victim of it, last year, not knowing what was going on with me. And it was all micro bino, whatever that name is, but it was all in the gut, in the stomach, and the digestion, just to how it gets all the nutrients and all that stuff. And uh now that I've got a grip on all that, dude, like so clear up here, and and it had hit me because and I was going through it while we were doing the videos, and I know I was talking about it a little bit because I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, because I remember talking to the videos, like, man, this is like anxiety 2.0. Like it 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 was like a virus. It figured it out, and now it's hitting me in a whole different type of way. And now I'm like, it's really messing with me. And I'm like, now it is the next, it's World War II now up here, and and lo and behold, you know, it was you know, to get prescribed a little bit of stronger like Pepsid, take it in the morning, sets everything straight. Now, uh, I mean, like it was just like how I was before everything. No anxiety, no nothing, and it all stemmed from that. And
wow. Yeah.
so I would say one thing, man, especially if you're starting to get a little older, man, take your fiber, like that dinner fiber, a little teaspoon, put in that water. It ain't nothing. You don't even taste it. That will do you a world of good because it helps all that stuff. It's the good bacteria and stuff. But like you said, Matt, that stemmed from the gut. It stemmed from there. Like you're starting to feel a little weird, and it because if you look into it and you read into it, the gut talks to the mind s ton, man.
Mm,
It almost dang near, I would almost even say it controls it, you know.
yeah.
It could be these little microbes that are really running everything, when it gets to the mind.
Yeah.
Uh, but saying, "Hey, I want this, I want that," you know, and so that's just more proof, like you just said, like that gut, man, when it's hungry or when it needs something, and same thing, like a kid, same thing, they acting like, man, what the hell's wrong with you? Now, oh, they're hungry, and
Yep.
you know, and you give them something, and they just cool back down. And I get that way at work, I'm like, man, oh man, I get some food up in me, and it's amazing. I know you know the feeling once you get like you really hungry and you're just feeling like lethargic and man, I can't even think. I can't. Man, you get some food up in you, and after a while, you're like, oh man, I just feel good, man.
Yep.
Like you just done hit a fat one. You know what I mean? Just like yeah, them burritos, man. Just yeah. Um, but
Exactly.
you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, all the chemicals start to level out. You're flying home. In your mind, you're like, yeah, yeah, man. I'm just good, man. I'm just good, man. I can just roll in the car, windows down, and I'm just right. But but
It's
yeah,
so
man,
true.
it's yeah, that's real. That's super super real, and I learned the hard way on that.
Yeah.
But I know it now. Like in the mornings, now your boy's getting close to the big 4-0, but
Oh,
you know
yeah,
I
man.
I know it's getting there. Um, but I'm my old ass, in the morning now, I take my fiber and then and got me some yogurt with some granola crumbs. Eat that.
Exactly, man.
You know what I mean? I gotta get the good. I gotta get add the good microbes. You know what I mean? And
You're like, "I'm gonna feel great
yeah,
today."
I'm gonna feel great today. You know. I'm getting sued
It's
by
so
three different
funny.
people, but I'm gonna feel great when they sue the hell out of me. But
Right?
yeah, yeah. I ain't got no money, but I feel good. You know. Yeah.
Uh, I know, it's so funny, when you get older and, um, things change like that where, before it was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna make me feel great," like, I know for me, you mentioned smoking, like, that was something I used to do back in the day, and it was like, oh yeah, that's going to be the thing that really makes my day awesome. But now when you get older, it's stuff like that. It's like, man, when I get my yogurt and granola, I just know I'm going to feel great.
Yeah, yeah,
My day's going to be wonderful.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
Yeah, man.
For me too, it's like oatmeal. Like I'll have oatmeal and bananas, and my wife, she's like, how old are you? Like you're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
some old man eating oatmeal and bananas every morning, and I'm like, man, it's good. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good. Man, once it starts to digest, start getting them nutrients, man, I just feel, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing too, man, is dude, I'm so bad about this, but I've recently gotten a little bit better. I still have some work to do, but hydrating too. Drinking
Oh,
enough water. Um,
yeah,
because now I've had to do it. I've been forced to do it more recently because I've been taking creatine. So,
yeah. Oh,
you gotta
yeah.
keep the
You got to
water
be up
going.
on that. Yeah.
um, but that's another thing. But yeah, I mean, drinking more than enough water is good, and I'm finding that like the more hydrate and it I know it sounds so obvious, right? But the more hydrated I am, I'm just like, man, I feel great. So again, it sounds silly because it's like, well, duh, but I just and I think, a lot of people can get this way, and I don't say that um to make a blanket statement. I'm saying that because I have heard other people agree with me in the sense of, you know, you just don't drink enough water or as much as you should be. Um, but I have found that it actually does help you feel a lot better, surprisingly. I say
Yeah,
that sarcastically, but you know.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, absolutely it does. Absolutely. And like you said, yeah, I mean it is, it is simple things, but all these simple things are things that a lot of us don't do, you know what I mean? And it usually it takes a health scare to get you, maybe down that path, But if you only knew that all that mental and depression, all that stuff, not to say it's just all going to go away with, with dietary things, but it will help, and sometimes it will help in a big way. So if you ain't if if you're going through this stuff and you're like, man, these dudes are kind of out there, hippie SOBs, whatever, and this stuff is just, I can't get the concept of it. Man, just eat right, drink water. I mean, dude, that stuff right there, I know it sounds stupid but and silly, but it really, it really will do a number. Now, for the young folks out there, I know, it's hard to get through to y'all because your body's just so resistant, it's so resilient. You can just abuse the hell out of it, and you get you some sleep and eat you some, you know some Lucky Charms, and you good. You know what I mean? You ready for the day. But but I'm telling you, you're gonna get there. You're gonna get into the 30s, and then all of a sudden you go like, man, what's going on? And you'd be like, oh, I need to, you just start to find out a little bit way, and you start hanging out with other people. They're getting older, like, oh yeah, man, what you need to do is you need to eat some more oatmeal. That's what you need to do. Eat oatmeal and drink some freaking water. And like, man, the hell you talking about?
Right.
You tree hugger, and then like, and then and then you start doing it, and you're like, oh yeah. And then you become that person that's telling the other person, hey man, you need to, you need to eat some yogurt, man. Like, man, the hell? Yogurt? Man, I'm talking to you about depression. You talk about yogurt. I'm just telling you, man, eat some yogurt, and that S will dissipate, man. I'm telling you, it'll evaporate. But yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. No, no, you're right. Yeah, that is super, super important. Super important. I mean, maybe even a foundation thing before you even start up here. Get that
Right.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to do more of this stuff. I know we've talked about it, and it's hard, just honestly with the busy lives we lead. But I do want to integrate some more kind of like wellness stuff into the channel.
Mm,
And I would like to maybe visit some places here and there, or I don't know, just talk about different things too. Not that I want this to become a wellness channel or anything like that. I mean, I do like our spiritual discussions, and I think that still needs to be a big part of it. But um, these are important aspects of even the spiritual life, right? And so um, I think talking about just how to take care of yourself and different ways you can do that, and even I don't know, different exercises, or it could be anything, right? But just like um, the holistic, um, healthy way of living, across both how you treat your body and how you treat your mind, and the spiritual lessons within all of that. I'm basically just saying it's important to cover all those aspects. And so if we can find a way to integrate that into the channel here and there with different things, I think that would be fun and would keep it interesting.
yeah.
So
Well, I'm down. I'm down with that. That'd be cool. Definitely.
yeah.
All right.
Well, I
Well,
think that's all that I had for tonight. And I really enjoyed this because, you know, one of the big things that, and you just said it, but one of the big things that Josh and I wanted viewers to get out of this channel is, one, um, how can you overcome kind of these negative states of mind? We always talk about how we've dealt with anxiety in the past, extreme anxiety, severe anxiety, and how we've been able to overcome that. So that's one thing, that we want to help with if we can. But the other thing too, and one of the things I've really liked about this talk is just being, you know, despite the fact that we can go out there quite a bit with some of our discussions, also kind of bringing it back down to earth and talking about some of these things and um, providing different ways, um, different avenues of approach for people to heal, right? Because again, like what you just said, um, if you're not the type that can really get into some of these teachings we've talked about and some of these kind of out there spiritual discussions we've had, maybe you can get something out of you know, the dietary part of it, or you know, um, it's just something simple like that, right? So what I'm getting at is that I hope that we can convey a message that um, anybody can get something out of, right? And um, you know, again, we're just two dudes, um, from the southern part of the United States that stumbled across some of this stuff through our own darkness, and somehow we met up along the way while we were still in that darkness, and somehow or another we were kind of able to help each other get out of that. So we're hoping we could do that for other people too.
Mhm.
So yeah, you know, the biggest thing is just keeping it real and um, you know, being able to convey a message that again anybody can get something out of. And with that said, and then I'll be quiet. If you ever have anything that you want to talk about, or you just need somebody to reach out to, and again, we're not licensed counselors or anything like that, but if you just need someone to talk to, or um, want to get something off your chest or whatever, we do have our email that is specifically addressed to Josh and I, that is on the channel description. So that is there. Of course, if it's not anything too private, you can always leave comments in the videos. And we do want to hear feedback. It's always great to whether the feedback be positive or negative doesn't matter. It's always great to hear from you all how we're doing, how you like the videos, maybe, if you want to see us do anything different. Um, and yeah, so that's about all I had.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't have summed it up any better. Yeah, we'll be back. Um, I know we say this sooner than later, and who knows, we might be someplace in a totally different, from what Matt was saying. I don't know. We might be at a holistic place, or you know on a cliff somewhere overlooking some ocean. I don't know. But who knows? So you gotta stick around and see. But no, but I don't have anything further to say. I think you summed it up real well. And yeah, hopefully you got something out of this, and we'll be back next time on something else. And again, uh, we're here to help, here to hopefully spread a positive message, a helpful message, and if somebody gets just one little thing out of something, that's a victory for us. So until then, try to be silent, be still, and that's all you need. That's all you need in life. So until then, we're signing off, and we'll see you next time.